Gravity is the most relentless force in the known universe. It draws massive celestial bodies together across the infinite, freezing expanse of space. It is entirely natural. It is entirely unavoidable. Yet, if two stars are pulled toward one another too rapidly, before their atmospheres have stabilized, they do not merge into a brighter light, they shatter. Consider the architecture of a fortress. A fortress is not built to invite the light in. It is built to keep the invader out. When a man has spent his entire life constructing a fortress of emotional survival, laying down bricks of logic, sealing the cracks with detachment, and guarding the gates with a hyper-vigilant mind, he does not view a sudden blinding illumination as a gift. He views it as a siege. This is the great paradox of deep, soulful connection. You possess a love that is pure, a love that asks for nothing but truth. But when this profound, unconditional presence encounters a heart that has only ever known conditional survival, the reaction is not gratitude, the reaction is terror. We are speaking of the unawakened counterpart, the avoidant soul, a man who looks into the depths of a profound connection and sees not a sanctuary, but a mirror reflecting every shadow he has desperately tried to outrun. He loves her. The resonance is undeniable. The quantum threads between them vibrate with a truth his soul recognizes instantly. And yet, he turns his back. He pulls away. He builds the wall higher. He retreats into the cold, familiar silence of his fortress. To the holder of space, this retreat feels like a profound rejection. It feels like a failure of love. But it is not a failure. It is a psychological and spiritual mechanism. Today, we will dismantle the architecture of his fear. We will look beneath the surface of the avoidant soul. We will understand why the divine masculine retreats from the very light he has spent lifetimes searching for. And more importantly, we will explore how you can reclaim your energetic sovereignty in the face of this profound retreat. Why does he push away the divine feminine, even when his love for her is real and undeniable? To truly understand this, we must step entirely out of the realm of romantic idealism. We must enter the precise, analytical intersection of somatic psychology and quantum entanglement. When the avoidant soul encounters the true feminine essence, he is not just meeting a woman. He is colliding with a profound force of nature. The divine feminine is the ocean. She is absolute depth. She is pure intuition. She is raw emotion and boundless, unstructured presence. The unhealed masculine, however, is entirely structured around control. His egoic identity is meticulously built on predictability. It relies on cold logic. It depends on the strict suppression of the chaotic, feeling world. When he steps into her waters, his system goes into shock. 3 distinct, terrifying psychological events occur simultaneously. First, there's the profound fear of annihilation. In classical depth psychology, this is known as ego death. The avoidant soul has survived his entire life by maintaining a strict, impenetrable boundary between himself and the outside world. He believes that safety is found in separation. He believes that vulnerability is a fatal flaw. Intimacy, especially at this profound, spiritual and energetic level, requires the absolute dissolution of those boundaries. When he is with the holder of space, he feels his carefully constructed ego slipping away. He feels himself merging with her energy. To the awakened mind, this merging is pure ecstasy. It is the ultimate goal of spiritual union. But to a dysregulated nervous system, this merging triggers the exact same somatic response as a literal physical death threat. His amygdala fires. His fight or flight response is activated. His brain does not gently whisper that he is falling in love. His brain screams that he is ceasing to exist. He feels as though the very core of his identity is being erased by the sheer magnitude of your presence. He does not run because he does not care. He runs because his biology is commanding him to survive the flood. Second, we must examine the terror of the mirror. The divine feminine does not just love him, she reflects him with devastating clarity. Her pure, energetic frequency acts as a flawless, unyielding mirror to his soul. When he looks at her, he does not just see her radiant beauty or her deep capacity for love. He sees his own profound unworthiness. He is forced to look at the inner child he abandoned decades ago. He sees every compromise he has ever made to fit into a world that demanded his silence. He sees the artificial masks he wears daily to survive in modern society. The cognitive dissonance of this experience becomes completely unbearable. The gap between who he truly is and who he pretends to be is suddenly illuminated. He pushes her away, not because he finds her lacking in any way. He pushes her away because her very presence demands a level of raw authenticity he is simply not yet capable of sustaining. It is agonizing to stand in the blinding light of truth when you have spent a lifetime hiding in the shadows. And so, he retreats. He retreats to environments, to situations, or to other superficial connections that do not reflect his shadow back to him. He runs back to the shallow waters where he does not have to learn how to swim in the deep. Third, we must deeply understand the quantum entanglement of the nervous system. This is where the physical and the spiritual realms collide. Even when he creates physical distance, the energetic connection remains completely intact. You are quantumly entangled. The holder of space, in her deep, beautiful desire for union, often directs a massive amount of energetic focus toward him. The anxious heart analyzes his every move. She sends him waves of unconditional love. She hopes and prays for his sudden awakening. But to the avoidant soul, this invisible energetic focus does not feel like love. It feels like immense crushing pressure. His highly sensitive, guarded nervous system interprets her deep longing as a demand for his subjugation. He feels the invisible, relentless pull of her gravity. His immediate instinct is to brace his feet and pull in the exact opposite direction just to maintain his sense of autonomy. He pushes you away because he mistakenly believes that your love requires his submission. He equates connection with captivity. He has not yet learned the ultimate spiritual truth that true, unconditional love is the ultimate freedom. He feels your energy tracking him across the distance, and it triggers his deeply ingrained fear of being consumed. This deconstruction is vital for your own peace of mind. You must realize that his retreat is a complex psychological architecture built entirely out of fear, not a lack of love. His nervous system is simply overloaded by the sheer voltage of the connection. He is a man standing before a tidal wave, trying to hold it back with his bare hands. Understanding these mechanics removes the heavy burden of blame from your shoulders. It is not your fault that your light is too bright for a man who is still adjusting his eyes to the dawn. Here is the profound shift in perspective that changes absolutely everything. The rational intellect desperately wants to solve the painful distance between you. The anxious heart deeply desires to heal him. You want to explain the spiritual connection to him. You want to love him consistently until his immense fear finally subsides. You believe that if you just show him enough devotion, he will suddenly realize he is completely safe. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of spiritual mechanics. You cannot love a man out of his own psychological evolution. You cannot do the heavy lifting of his soul for him. His retreat feels like a devastating obstacle to your union. But it is not an obstacle. His sudden distance is a strict structural requirement for his ultimate expansion. Think of the ancient, meticulous metallurgical process of forging a master sword. The raw steel must first be thrust into the blinding, transformative heat of the fire. This fire softens the rigid metal. It makes it malleable. It burns away the deep impurities. When he met you, he experienced this profound fire. He experienced the ultimate spiritual expansion of his soul. He felt a warmth and a radiant light he had never known. But the forging process does not end in the fire. If the steel is only heated, it remains incredibly weak. It will bend and break in the reality of battle. To gain its unbreakable strength, the glowing steel must be immediately plunged into the freezing, pitch-black water. Heat must always be followed by cold. Expansion must always be followed by rapid contraction. This is exactly what is happening to the avoidant soul. He has encountered the blinding light of your divine feminine essence. But a human vessel that has never held that much immense light will inevitably crack under the sudden pressure. He must plunge into the cold. He must experience the severe contraction of his own ego. He absolutely requires the dark, quiet void of your absence to dismantle his outdated psychological constructs. If you remain too close to him during this critical phase, you disrupt the forging process. If you constantly reassure him of your presence, you become his emotional crutch. If you continually reach out to bridge the painful gap, you become the external battery powering his spiritual bypass. By pulling away, he is unconsciously seeking the exact isolation his soul needs. He must face his own unhealed shadow. The dark void is his necessary incubator. When you remove your comforting light, his eyes are forced to adjust to his own darkness. He is forced to look at the high walls of his fortress. He is forced to sit with the profound emptiness he has spent a lifetime running from. If you constantly fill that emptiness with your loving messages and your energetic focus, he never has to face himself. You accidentally rob him of his own sacred initiation. You must allow him to experience the full, heavy weight of the void. Consider the beautiful philosophy of kintsugi. This is the ancient art of repairing broken pottery with lacquer dusted in powdered gold. The philosophy dictates that the breakage and the repair are part of the history of an object rather than something to disguise. The avoidant soul is currently shattering. His old identity is breaking apart under the sheer gravity of your connection. He must fall to pieces before he can be put back together. The gold that will eventually bind his fragmented pieces is the profound self-awareness he gains in the silence of your absence. You cannot glue him back together with your love. He must find his own gold. You must completely reframe how you view his terror. His profound fear is not a sign that the connection is false. His fear is the ultimate, undeniable proof of its profound authenticity. A shallow, ordinary love does not trigger a foundational earthquake within the human psyche. A casual romance does not cause a man to question his entire existence. Only a love of immense tectonic power can shake a deeply guarded man to his absolute core. The sheer magnitude of his retreat is a direct measurement of the sheer magnitude of the connection. He is running because the foundation of his false self is collapsing. Therefore, you must understand that his distance is not a cruel punishment inflicted upon you. It is not a rejection of your worth or your beauty. It is the necessary, sacred space required for him to undergo a total psychological collapse. He must dismantle the rigid, fearful boy who built the fortress. He must rebuild himself into a mature, sovereign man. He is currently a man who only knows how to stand on dry land. You are asking him to navigate the deepest, most turbulent ocean. He cannot do that with his current level of consciousness. He must retreat to the shore to build a ship worthy of your waters. This paradigm shift requires you to elevate your own understanding of love. True, unconditional love does not demand immediate physical proximity. True love respects the sovereign journey of the other soul. It recognizes that growth often requires severe discomfort. When you finally grasp this truth, the frantic anxiety begins to dissolve entirely. You stop chasing his retreating silhouette. You stop analyzing his silence for hidden meanings. You simply observe his process with deep, detached compassion. You realize that his temporary absence is the very mechanism forging his permanent strength. You allow the cold water to do its work, trusting completely in the unseen architecture of his spiritual evolution. Understanding the complex mechanics of his retreat intellectually is only the first necessary step. The true mastery of this profound experience requires a deep internal alchemy. You cannot control his timeline. You cannot force his spiritual awakening. You cannot manipulate a soul into readiness, but you have absolute sovereign control over your own energetic field. The shift must move from the analytical mind into the physical body. It must move from passive waiting into active reclamation. This is where the true work begins. You must implement specific, deeply psychological shifts into your daily existence. These are not mere mental exercises. They are profound, energetic realignments designed to restore your power. The first necessary shift is the complete withdrawal of the quantum tether. As long as your mental energy is constantly monitoring his state, you are bleeding your own life force. You wonder what he is doing. You analyze his fears. You project intense love into his field. You do this out of deep care and pure intention. But on a quantum level, you are keeping an invisible thread pulled incredibly taut. You are maintaining the exact energetic pressure he is desperately trying to escape. You must practice absolute energetic sovereignty. When you feel your mind instinctively reaching out across the void to check on him, you must stop. You must consciously pull that energy back into your own physical body. Imagine a luminous golden thread extending from your chest to his. Now, see yourself gently unhooking it. Draw that golden light back into your own heart. Reclaim your scattered energy. Give him the profound gift of your complete energetic absence. Let him feel the true, unmitigated weight of the void. It is only in the stark silence of your absolute absence that he can finally hear his own intuition. When you stop energetically pursuing him, the dynamic shifts entirely. You remove the resistance he is pushing against. You allow the laws of spiritual gravity to reset. The second shift requires neutralizing the distorted mirror of his retreat. When the avoidant soul runs, the anxious heart immediately looks inward for a fatal flaw. You ask yourself agonizing questions. You wonder if you did something wrong. You wonder if you are too intense. You wonder if you are simply not enough. This is a deep trauma response. You are internalizing his profound inability to process intimacy. You are translating his terror into your own inadequacy. You must completely neutralize this psychological mirror. When the sharp pain of his absence arises, you must speak a new truth to your nervous system. You must tell yourself that his retreat is a reflection of his internal capacity. It is never a measure of your external worth. His inability to hold your light does not mean your light is flawed. Stop adjusting your brilliance to make him comfortable. Consider the singular purpose of a lighthouse. A lighthouse does not dim its beam because a passing ship is terrified of the glare. It does not apologize for its intense illumination. It simply stands firm on the rocky shore. It shines relentlessly into the dark. You must become the lighthouse. You must anchor into your own inherent value. You must stop shrinking your vast ocean to fit into a small, fragile cup. The third and final shift is relinquishing the waiting room archetype. Many sophisticated, spiritually aware individuals trap themselves in a psychological waiting room. You unconsciously pause your life. You keep an empty space open for him. You delay your own joy. You postpone your own purpose. You halt your own expansion. You do this because you are constantly waiting for the avoidant soul to finally awaken and return. But energy speaks much louder than any physical action. When you are waiting, your energetic signature is one of profound lack. It is a state of indefinite suspension. On a quantum level, he feels this heavy expectation. He feels that you are waiting for him to change. This creates immense pressure within his nervous system. This pressure makes him run even further away. You must step out of the waiting room immediately. You must step onto the grand throne of the present moment. Live your life with ruthless, unapologetic beauty. Pursue your highest purpose. Cultivate your own profound joy. Become so deeply immersed in the magnificent masterpiece of your own existence that his return becomes a beautiful preference. It must never be a desperate necessity. When you build a life that deeply fulfills you, you detach from the outcome. You reclaim your absolute power. You become a magnetic force of nature, entirely whole unto yourself. You realize that you are the destination, not a rest stop on his journey. The divine feminine is the most powerful force on this earth. Your love is not a weakness. Your depth is not a burden. If he has pushed you away, it is because he has looked into the vast, limitless expanse of your ocean and realized he does not yet know how to build a ship worthy of sailing it. Do not shrink your ocean. Do not apologize for your depth. The ocean does not beg the river to flow into it. It does not chase the rain. It simply rests in its own magnificent vastness, knowing that eventually all waters return to the sea. Release the grip. Regulate your nervous system. Call your energy back to your own beautiful beating heart. Let him wander his wilderness. Let him face his shadows. Your only assignment in this profound spiritual curriculum is to become the absolute master of your own peace. Rest in your power, and remember, you are the light that remains, even when the room goes dark.